Okay, Year 12s, we're going to have a look at finding an angle this time, and I'm just going to leave the shout-outs this time because I think we're starting to get quite serious. So no shout-outs for this video. Sorry, Corbin. So we're going to find an angle using the cosine rule, and the first thing that we need to do really is consider how we're going to rearrange the formula. And so the formula that we were using last time was a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. Now just a reminder, you are given this formula. You don't have to remember it in that form. But if you're looking for an angle, really what we're interested in is this part here, the cos of the angle part. So that's what we want to get by ourselves. So I'm going to start by subtracting b squared from both sides, and I'm going to subtract c squared from both sides as well. So on this side they're going to add to 0, so eliminate, and on the left hand side we're going to be left with a squared minus b squared minus c squared equals negative 2bc cos a. Alright, our next step is to get cos a by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2bc. And the reason why I'm doing that is so that my negative 2bc cancels out and all I'm left with is my cos a. Okay, so let's write that out. So I can say, we'll bring it over here, I can say cos a equals a squared minus b squared minus c squared all over negative 2bc. So just with this negative, it's a bit funny having a negative like that on the bottom of a fraction, so what I'm going to do is just change all the signs around on top and bottom. So I'll multiply the top by negative 1 and I'll multiply the bottom by negative 1 as well. And all that does is swap all the signs around. So if I write that out, I'll have, instead of negative b squared and negative c squared, I'm going to have b squared plus c squared minus a squared on the top, and on the bottom I'm just going to have 2bc. It's just a way of writing it without any negatives. And that's really the formula that we are looking at for angles. Alright, so I'm going to look at applying that. Just all of this algebra stuff, don't worry too much about that because that's not going to be a big deal for your particular assessment, but it is worth knowing how we get these formulas sometimes. Okay, so let's look at this example. Find the unknown angle. Alright, so first of all I'm going to finish off labelling my triangle here. So I've got an angle of A, so I'll make this little a, and I'll make the other two B and C. So now I'm going to write out my formula. So I've got cos A equals B squared plus C squared minus A squared all over 2BC. Now I'm going to put in the numbers that I have for each of those. So cos A, that's the angle I'm looking for. B is 12, C is 13, and A is 24. And on the bottom we're going to have 2 times 12 times 13. And so cos A is going to be equal to, and this is where we need our calculator. Let's make that a bit bigger if we can. Here we go. Okay, so we've got 12 squared plus 13 squared minus 24 squared. And I'm going to press equals there and then go divided by, and it's a shame it doesn't want to make it any bigger, but okay, divided by, and then in brackets I'll go 2 times 12 times 13 just so that the calculator knows I'm dividing by all of those things, and go equals, if it will let me. Okay, so we get negative 0.843. Negative 0.843. So in order to find A, I'm going to have to take cos inverse of both sides. So I'm going to go A equals cos inverse of 0.843. So I'll bring up our calculator. I might just reopen that because that size is a bit annoying. There we go, that's better. Okay, so I'll have to make sure I'm back in degrees mode again. So let's do that. Put us back into degrees. There we go. And I'll have to redo that calculation. So I'll quickly redo that. Okay, so now it's in my memory. So I can go Shift cos inverse and then bring up my answer key, and that gives me an exact angle of 147.5 degrees. So A equals 147.5 degrees, and that's to 1 dp. Alright, so just remember with your calculator there that you use the answer key rather than writing it as a truncated decimal or a rounded decimal. That gives you much more accuracy. And then, as with the other ones below, I've got some work for you to do, and I'll put in some answers for you at some stage. And that's it for finding an angle using the cos rule.